It's not how much money you make, it's how much of it you can keep. Have you ever heard that saying? I completely agree with that saying, but I am yet to meet anyone out there who does not want to make more money. Which is interesting because whenever I talk about making money on this channel, it seems to get a lot of interest. It goes like complete wildfire in terms of the people who view those videos. So clearly, money making is something we're interested in. And from a work perspective, in my view, the more money you can make from your job or your career, the faster you can get yourself on that journey to financial independence. Today we're going to unpack high-paying six-figure jobs. So these are jobs that give you the potential to make up to 6 figures per year and beyond, such that you can consider either retraining in one of these jobs, or if you're someone who is still on the path towards creating a career that works for them, these are jobs you might want to consider because they are high-paying. I just thought we should make this video because it'll be a bit of fun and it'll be a good way to hear from you as well what jobs you've come across which pay more than 6 figures, okay? So if you're somebody who makes 6 figures, we'd love to hear from you in the comments as you watch this video. Please jump in and let us know. So let's start to unpack these ideas. I'm really excited about this actually because talking about money really starts to open up things that a lot of us prefer not to talk about. For example, the fact that most of us actually make an income from just one source every single month. Or the fact that quite a lot of us remain with the same employer for 3 years, 5 years, or even more than that, without even realizing that that's costing us money every single year. Or the fact that quite a lot of us hover around for month after month after month without a clue in the world what our income goals are or what we are trying to achieve. Money doesn't necessarily make us happy, but if you manage it well, it can solve a lot of problems. My name's Ken of the Humble Penny and Financial Joy Academy. What we do on this channel is give you the tips, the insights and practical hacks to help you work towards a dream life of financial independence and money joy. Now let's dive in and start to look at these 6-figure high-paying jobs. I know for certain that not everybody's going to hit 6 figures. Like, I'm going to get people in this video telling me the average salary is £25,000 or something. That's fine, I get that. But it does not mean that you cannot aim for 6 figures if you have the right mindset for hitting 6 figures. Okay, so I'm fully aware that this is not something that will appeal to everybody. But I think it's fun because I'm somebody who never started out believing that I could hit 6 figures. It wasn't even in my imagination that this was possible. But as the years passed and my mindset started to change, the key mindset change was that I did not have a cap on my income, which most people seem to believe that, oh, because I'm black, because I'm a woman, because I'm an immigrant, because I'm, working class, whatever it is, most people have this kind of baggage, which is making them believe that making a particular income is not within their possibility. This is a self-imposed limitation, okay? So, I'm somebody who can definitely tell you that I was in that place myself. I had all the baggages, black, young black male, immigrant, like I couldn't even speak English properly. Like who would give a job to someone like me with a surname that you could struggle to even pronounce? I had all these baggages. Why would I get a high-paying job? But you're looking at the guy who is getting that high pay every single year without fail, okay? So if I can do this is why I'm making this video. If I can do this, there's absolutely no reason why you can't. Because your perceived disadvantages today really are your advantages if you understand how to use them, okay? All right, let's dive in and start to look at these various jobs that offer you the potential for 6 figures every single year. The first one is accounting. So I'm going to start with what I know. You guys will know that I'm actually a trained chartered accountant. Now, when I started this career, I actually had no idea what I wanted to do for my career. But the one thing I had as an advantage was I'd done pretty well at my maths A-levels at school. And someone said to me, hey, why don't you try and go into accounting or banking or actuarial science and stuff like that. None of these things meant anything to me because my A-levels I'd done with maths, chemistry and biology. So I thought, do you know what? I'm going to pursue this accounting thing. So I went through a process known as clearing in the UK. Most of you guys will know all about this. And I landed at university and started this course, right? And honestly, this career has been the best thing I ever chose because accounting offers you unbelievable advantages. For example, when you qualify as an accountant, entry-level salaries are about £42,000 to £45,000, if I can remember correctly. And there's a very clear path to you getting to the very top. So I'm going to just lay them out for just to give you an idea. Okay, so you qualify as an accountant, you become a newly qualified accountant. Obviously, you can go into industry or you can kind of remain in practice. I went straight into industry because you can make more money doing that. By doing that, I worked and became a management accountant. From becoming a management accountant, I went up to become a finance manager. From there, I went on to become a financial controller. From becoming a financial controller, I went on to become the head of finance for a company. And from the head of finance, I went on to become the UK finance director. From finance director, I went on to become chief financial officer. And from CFO, I can become CEO or whatever, right? So you can see it's a very clear path career-wise for anybody who's interested in accounting. You might hear accounting and think, oh my God, it's so boring. But no, not at all, because you can use this qualification to work in absolutely any industry whatsoever. If you're into fashion, you can use it in fashion. If you're into health, you can use it in a health service. If you're into finance, you can use it in the banking world. If you're into manufacturing, this area of accounting can be used in absolutely anywhere. Plus, it's very well paid. And plus, you actually obtain a business qualification that really teaches you the skills for running a business. So in every way, shape or form, if you're somebody who's considering a different career, or if you're right at the beginning of your career journey, or you want to make a pivot to a different career, I'd highly recommend training as an accountant because it just offers you essentially a skill for life. Someone like me at my level of experience can now command, a certain minimum level of income for the rest of my life, And at this stage of life, I'm talking minimum 6 figures. Anywhere I go, even if I took some time off, I'd still come back and make 6 figures, right? So you can see because of that technical qualification, it gives you a certain minimum in terms of income that you can make. But this sort of income will vary depending on what sort of areas you're working. So for example, financial services will pay a lot more compared to someone who's an accountant, say in retail, for example, okay? But either way, they'd still be making very good income with the potential for 6 figures over time. The next job with potential for 6 figures are people who work in venture capital and private equity. So lots of you guys might know, you might not know that when I'm not making these videos, I actually work in the industry of venture capital. So we invest money, millions of pounds into companies. Okay, that's what we do. Okay. Now, my colleagues who I see in the office are people who have titles such as investment directors, senior investment managers, and people like that. And these are professionals with technical qualifications. So qualifications such as the CFA, which is the Chartered Financial Analyst, or the ACA, which is a qualification I've got, which is the Associate Chartered Accountant. These qualifications are technical qualifications, but what they do is that they give you the foot in the door into working in a very niche and high-paying job. Okay, so my colleagues, senior investment managers, and such people in such jobs typically make a lot of money every single year. On a very basic level, they'd be aiming to make at least a 6-figure income, because their remuneration is typically made up of 3 key areas, which is their basic salary, bonuses, and then the third element, which is something known as a carry pool, which is essentially a big bonus pot potentially when they sell companies and make profits from them that pool is then available to the team who made those investments to share. So those guys who work in those jobs stand to become millionaires potentially in the future if they hang around for long enough to see their investments become a success, if they become a success, okay? So if you're someone who's thinking about a particular career that's high paying, consider very highly a job of an investment manager or a senior investment manager, stuff like that. You typically have to start as an associate, and then you kind of work your way up over time to becoming an investment manager, and then a senior investment manager, and then an investment director, and so on. And with that obviously comes the experience, the networks, the relationships, all of that, okay? So venture capital and private equity is an area that absolutely anyone can go into. In fact, I should say, if you are a woman, or if you're somebody of an ethnic minority background, just mentioning that simply because people with those sort of demographics typically feel that they can't get into those areas because they have certain limitations. So, but the truth is, this couldn't be further from the truth, because there are so many, and this is going to sound really bad, but there's so many diversity quotas, there's so many things that all these organizations have to meet. And so they're constantly looking for people who will fit those particular criteria. Okay, so more than ever before, there is an opportunity if you are somebody who wants to explore that sort of career and you've got an interest in companies and investments and so on. This is why I went into it, because I love this arena of entrepreneurship and investments and making investments and that sort of stuff. So this is when I'm not making these YouTube videos, I'm out there and we're talking, millions and kind of investing in companies. And then I come back here and I'm talking YouTube and financial independence and so on, which is quite fun. So I'd highly recommend exploring this arena of becoming an investment professional in venture capital or private equity. For this next one, there's absolutely no way I thought I'd have it on the list for making six figures. And that is that you can become a pro blogger. There's absolutely no way I would have added this to the list many years ago. But the internet has completely changed the game, and people are becoming professional bloggers today, kind of quitting proper jobs to actually go blogging full time and make six figures if they really, really work hard and above, okay? And what I think is really fascinating about this is that professional bloggers actually have success making money because they understand a number of things. And I'm going to read them out from my iPad here because I want to make sure I get them across very clearly. The first one is that they understand psychology, right? This whole idea of making money through blogging is really about an art. It's about an art and a science, but a lot of it has to do with understanding human behavior and psychology. The next one is marketing and sales. I've mentioned those skill sets before, but they are critically important for a blogger to be able to make money through affiliate marketing and all the various different ways that bloggers make money. Next is collaboration. Successful bloggers know that in order to have influence and success, you do have to collaborate and work with other people to get your name out there. Next is automation. Successful bloggers understand processes, systems, and they're able to automate a lot of what they do such that it just runs like clockwork in the background and generates passive income for them time and time again. Next is traffic. Successful bloggers know how to control and own traffic and are able to turn cold traffic into warmer traffic, which is actually a real skill set. Next is assets. Successful bloggers are able to create digital assets that have present and future value, and they're able to sell these assets through using very intelligent sales funnels that help them to generate sales in an automated fashion time and time again. Next is that successful bloggers think from the perspective of ROI, return on investment. They don't just think about expenses as things that you have to pay out, but they think of them as what you must incur in order to generate a lot more income such that you can then generate a profit through your blogging operations. But overall, blogging is definitely not an easy thing to do. It's an art and it's a science, and it takes a great deal of commitment and consistency to be able to hit six figures blogging every single year. But it's something that's absolutely possible and something that anyone can do without any qualifications compared to the many other jobs I've mentioned, such as engineering and accounting and so on, which require a technical qualification. Blogging does not require qualification, but yet it gives you the possibility for making six figures every single year. The next career with the potential for six figures are the consultants of this world. So you might hear names such as Bain, McKinsey, PwC, Deloitte. These very big companies out there make some of the highest profit margins of any business forms in the world. They make an incredible amount of money, but it's also one of the most kind of soul-destroying jobs out there, So it sounds very, very interesting and very, very kind of exciting, but a lot of these guys are super stressed and work unbelievable hours to be able to make that sort of money, okay? So if you work as a consultant, there's without a doubt potential for six figures as an income, because again, there's a very clear pathway for people in these sort of industries to make that sort of money. And the reason for that is because they make an insane profit margin from simply offering advice, so offering advice on things such as strategy or mergers and acquisitions, or somebody's buying a company, they're going to offer some advice or, whatever, right? They offer a variety of advice, and for that they charge a ton of money. So the key though with working in that sort of area, and I think what's interesting about it beyond just the possibility of pay, is that you get to learn a lot about different types of businesses and different types of industries, and you have the opportunity then to perhaps choose a particular industry that you might want to then focus on to build your career out. So I think a job in that sort of area is a good kind of starting point for you to then pivot and do something else in the near future. Next is sales. Now, people who work in sales have possibly one of the most valuable skill sets, which is that you have the ability to create value. You're able to sell something, you're able to take an idea or a product or service and actually cause somebody to purchase it from you and therefore extract value. So you go from value creation as a salesperson to value capture. It's very interesting because practically I've known quite a number of salespeople in my career and they make an unbelievable amount of money. I used to know a guy in one of my many workplaces, and I knew this guy really, really well because I used to calculate his commissions every single month. And when I tell you this guy, every single month, without fail, would make over £200,000 as commissions. Every single month. But what was interesting actually, and this is a slight digression, was that ever so often, he would run out of money. So you're probably thinking the same thing I'm thinking. How on earth can somebody who makes that kind of money ever run out of money? Well, this is what following the Joneses is all about. When you make an insane amount of money, it's very easy to have a lifestyle creep and spend all that money as well. So anyway, slight digression. But the point is, we're making this much money is that as you're making more money, you keep your lifestyle flat or even aim to reduce your lifestyle, because then you build this massive buffer which will help you buy your freedom over time. So sales is a critical skill set to learn, whether you are becoming a salesman or not. In fact, it's one of the most important skill sets to kind of learn if you are becoming an entrepreneur. If you're somebody who's going to be running a business, starting a side hustle, learning that at every moment in life you should be prepared to sell is actually a mindset thing, which is why salespeople do so well compared to people in normal jobs where they do not have to consider selling as part of their job remit. Next is engineering. Now, engineers vary. You have software engineers, chemical engineers, mechanical engineers, so many, electrical engineers, there's so many of these people. The key about this career area or this area of work is that they possess a highly specialized skill set. And that highly specialized skill set therefore attracts usually a high price when it comes to remuneration. Okay, these vary. I met a guy recently who's working for a company called Shell, which most of you probably know about. And we were having a chat, it's actually at a dinner. He'd been working as an expat for so many years. And we got talking about financial independence and a savings rate and stuff like that. And this guy said something that made me almost fall off my seat. He said to me, on a really bad month, he saves 75% of all his income. And the reason for that is because as an expat, he gets his accommodation paid for, he gets his kids' private schooling paid for, he gets like his transport costs paid for. And so all the money he makes therefore becomes, pretty much just goes into savings. And his game plan was to kind of work as an expat for about 5 years and then use that money to move back to, he was from Canada, move back to Canada and buy his home completely outright. Which for me was just so interesting. I'd never come across anyone like that before. But the point there is that this career of engineering can be gamed in different ways. You can become an engineer and just do what everybody else does. Or you can become an engineer, use your skill sets to kind of expat money around the world and then use that to kind of gradually accelerate your journey to financial independence. The key thing to note though about engineers is that because of their highly specialized skill sets, they lack a great deal of leadership potential. So you tend to not find engineers who are kind of, leaders per se. You have them doing mostly technical roles and they'll have to, over time, get rid of their technical skills and gradually move into softer skills in order for them to land much bigger roles in kind of C-level roles as kind of chief executives or whatever in a leadership capacity. The next one's investment banking, and a lot of these guys who go into these jobs tend to actually get funneled all the way from university, and then they kind of go along and they go to these big, massive banking fairs, and they join as investment banking young professionals, and then they kind of work their way up gradually. My experience of investment banking is that it's completely soul destroying. I've known guys who work at Goldman Sachs and some really, really, really big companies, right? I'm sure they're all great companies. But the problem is these people work unbelievable amounts of hours, and essentially have no life, which, just makes you think, well, is this really what it's about? Okay, so investment bank is interesting. It makes you a lot of money, potentially through bonuses mainly. But what I found is that most people who go into it tend to kind of get out of it as quickly as possible. So it's not really a career that I'd recommend, but it's definitely an option which seems very popular for a lot of people who come out of university kind of looking for high-paying jobs. I'd much highly recommend some of the examples I mentioned earlier, such as kind of venture capital or even accounting and finance, because they just offer a much better work-life balance and just make life more interesting because you still make the money, but you still have a bit of a life as well. Next are the doctors. So I've got quite a lot of doctor friends who are GPs, general practitioners, who are specialists and what have you. The thing I found with my doctor friends is that they are possibly some of the highest earning individuals that I know, but they are also some of the people who follow the Joneses the most. So they live in some of the biggest houses, they drive some of the flashiest cars, they have their kids, they're paying their kids' education, and so on, right? But without a game plan for the future. So many people, in fact, a lot of the people who I get emails from who tell me, Ken, I've got no idea about how to manage my finances, are doctors, which is unbelievable. But it's a classic example of making a lot more money does not necessarily lead to keeping a lot more money, okay? If you're a doctor, no offense, by the way, but a lot of people I come across who struggle to kind of move beyond just kind of spending all that they're making every single month actually fall into this bucket of doctors. Now, the second to the last group I'd mention are lawyers. Now, lawyers, I've got quite a few lawyer friends, but I personally think they've got possibly the worst job in the world, because lawyers essentially charge a lot of money. They charge anything from like £400 to £1,000 per hour, or even more in some cases. But this is essentially a flawed business model, because all they're essentially doing is swapping time for money. And it's quite a stressful job as well. In fact, I don't know a single lawyer who is happy in their job. Not a single one. And I find that to be quite a worrying thing. So although it's a good area to kind of make six figures and above, I find that most lawyers I know are either looking for a way out of the law profession, or they're just complaining all the time. And so I find that's quite a worrying thing. But, you know, it's an idea for making six-figure income, but it's one that might leave you frustrated for quite a number of years as well. Now, the final group I'm going to mention are a really special bunch, and they are the entrepreneurs. And the reason I mention this is because as somebody who's worked in investment management for over a decade, I come across high net worth, super high net worth individuals. These are people who can write checks of 30 to 100,000 pounds to even millions of pounds. They can actually write those checks. These are wealthy people. And those people typically make their money in two ways. Number one is that they either own some share options in a company and that company has become super successful and they've made a load of money. Or they've started their own business, right? So a lot of people who I've come across who are extremely wealthy are people who have, you know, started a business that they never thought might get anywhere, but somehow it's just, you know, taken off and become super successful. Some of them are people who actually run quite small businesses, but businesses that make them a seven-figure income every single year. So entrepreneurs essentially are potentially super successful because they have no cap on their income whatsoever. But they also have some particularly distinct advantages, which I'm going to read to you, okay? So, because they take the most risks, they also stand to become owners, so they start to become people who have ownership in companies and own the shares of a business. And by doing that, they potentially have control in that they have more than 50% ownership of a business. And what you find is that people who become wealthy over time, a lot of them have those two elements of ownership and control. Because if you have those two elements in any asset class, you tend to become somebody who will benefit the most out of that asset class. And entrepreneurs have that advantage, okay? They also solve problems and create value, which, if you think about it, is very different to what employees do, which essentially most employees get to work and get told what to do or wait for direction. But entrepreneurs are always seeking a way out to solve problems, to create new solutions, to invent new products or services, you know, to employ technology. They're the people who are kind of breaking through, and by taking that risk and solving problems and creating value, they stand to get remunerated the highest compared to any of the groups I've mentioned previously. The one thing I've certainly noticed in my journey is that you don't need a great deal of education to actually become an entrepreneur. My parents, my family members, or various people I've come across in my kind of life career have demonstrated to me that it's really about getting out there and taking some risk and doing things quite differently to the way that most people out there do things. If most people are kind of zigging that way, you want to be zagging the other way. It's about identifying problems, thinking about solutions, solving those problems and creating value. And if you do that, and if you do it time and time again, you get remunerated well enough for you to become a successful entrepreneur. So guys, although I spent a lot of this video talking to you about high-paying jobs with a capability for six figures every year, what's interesting is that no matter what job you're in today, there are certainly certain steps you can begin to take in order for you to increase your income every single year without fail. I've made a video which will release later on in the week for you to check out, which I've referred to as the Career Success Secrets. These are tips and tricks that I've come across in my career that have certainly helped me on that journey towards making six figures and above. These are ideas that you will not hear from any careers advisor, but kind of hacks that you can apply to your job today to move you forward in generating more income. Guys, thanks a lot for watching this video. I really hope you've enjoyed it. I'd love to hear from you in the comments below actually. What is your current job title? So what is your job? What is it you do for a living? And do you think your current career path has the potential for six figures? Just let me know in the comments. If you're somebody who does not believe that they can generate six figures in their current job, I'd love to know what you think is the reason for that? Let me know in the comments. What do you think is your main challenge? What do you think is stopping you perhaps hitting that level of income? Let me know in the comments, and I'd be more than happy to jump in and share with you my personal experiences to help you move forward. Thanks a lot for watching. If you enjoyed it, hit that like button, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're new to our channel. Hit that notifications button so you get notified when we publish content twice a week on a Tuesday and a Thursday. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, and look forward to seeing you soon again on our next video. Take care and bye for now. You must surely be asking yourself, well, what do you need to do? Sorry. So guys, although I've spent this video talking to you about high-paying jobs that have the capability, I'll put a link to it below. No, what am I saying? Oh, babe, it's going to be a hard edit. If you're somebody who does not believe that they can generate six figures, that took so long. Time to go and chill out.